Artists often share in the creative process, building works that are even better than the sum of their parts, especially when they feature outreach to the community. At BRIC House this month, we're privileged to feature the collaborative work of Ananda Nahu, a painter and muralist from Brazil. Welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And Jeremy Thal, a composer and teacher and French horn player. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
So, how did this collaboration come together between you two?
So we got an award from the CEC ARTS LINK, which brings together, it's called One Big City, and they kind of played matchmaker between Brooklyn, or actually New York-based artists and artists from abroad, so a bunch of different countries. And I was lucky to be matched up with Ananda. So that was how it kind of started.
That's excellent.
Nice. Ananda, we know you have a little bit of laryngitis, right? And maybe a little bit of difficulty speaking to us today. But I do want to ask, what brought you to New York City from Brazil?
You know, that's my first time out Brazil. I never had the opportunity to leave Brazil since, and I received this grant of CEC ARTS LINK to make murals and painting with the communities. And I also painting here at BRIC. I'm trying to spread. I have a collaboration with the Puerto Rico photographer, Rico Flores.
Yes.
He was a descendant of Puerto Rico and was born in New York. And he took a lot of photographs in South Bronx during the 80s. When he was like in 8 years ago, it was the first time he was publishing those photography that he took in South Bronx. That's when I met him by internet. And then I started to make paintings of his photographies.
And the mural that we have here is
it's
from one of the photographs.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What can you tell us about this mural?
Yeah, this mural is, the girl name is Adelaide. He was living in a shelter and he was a homeless, living in South Bronx during the 80s. This photograph was took like in 83, the year. And she was a very close friend of him. But a few days ago, when he took these pictures, he like called him late at night, like clearly in pain, asking him something that he wasn't able to understand. And then, the day after, Flores was looking for her, and she just disappeared. He wasn't able to know where she was. And since that day, you don't know where she was. Right. Maybe she was killed that night.
Yeah, so this was a young girl in the 80s that was in a homeless shelter and went missing. And you painted a beautiful mural out here in the BRIC lobby relating to that. Jeremy, we want to talk to you again too, of course. Can you tell us your background as a musician, not only as a performer, but as a teacher and community builder?
So I started out as a French horn player. And when I moved to Brooklyn about 8 years ago, I started doing a lot of community-based kind of music production work. So starting at a school, the BCAM actually, a school not far from here, working with high school kids and middle school kids, mostly high school kids, you know, making beats and writing songs and that sort of thing. And from that, some friends and I started an organization we call Found Sound Nation. So we've done these kind of socially engaged music production, music composition workshops. Now we've done it in maybe 10 different countries. We've had a lot of luck to be able to do it around. But it all started, you know, here in New York. Yeah, so that's me.
Great.
And then can you just speak on specifically your collaboration with Ananda?
So this is actually the first time I've ever collaborated with a visual artist. And it's very interesting because, you know, the sound takes place in time. You know, it's 1 minute long piece, 5 minute long piece, whereas a visual art is static. You know, you can look at it for 1 second and walk away, or you could stand in front of it for an hour.
Right.
And I think what's interesting to me is like looking at Ananda's work, especially as she paints it and just really soaking it in over a long period of time, how the work itself begins to change sort of in your consciousness as you observe it. And so I want to play with that in creating music that's designed to be listened to while you look at a static image. Cool. And so that your perception of it changes based on the music and based on the time you've spent with the work.
And how did you discover the French horn? I mean, that's a very specific, you're the only person I've ever met who plays a French horn. So how did you choose the French horn as your instrument?
Well, I played violin, but I didn't like it. I wanted to quit, but my parents wouldn't let me quit unless I started another instrument. And so I wanted to play the saxophone, but they wouldn't let me play the saxophone because everyone wanted to play the saxophone in the band. Right. And so they gave me a French horn, and I blew one note on one day when I was 11 years old.
And you were sold?
The band director said, "Oh, you've got a good lip for that, kid." And I was like, and my little heart was like, really? Cool.
He was just desperate for a French horn.
Right. He was just trying to con me into playing that thing,
no
carrying it around for the next 20 years.
He inspired you. That's great. Ananda, we want to talk a little bit maybe about your process in creating these murals, like the one that's out here in the lobby. What is your artistic process?
I usually make stencils. Like I used to make graphics at streets, murals.
Stencils.
And stencils, and also freehand painting too. Like I have a style that's like fabrics and patterns that is make interactions with good compositions. And like each fabric that I painted is from many different countries. It's like I'm trying to unite worldwide reference of cultures and by my own view. It's something like on one piece of composition you have many worldwide patterns and reference of art. Something like that. I just like thinking about art like we are all brothers and
like
language.
Global
language is not a barrier. Understand? It's like that's what I think when I do my images with my style.
And who are some of the artists that inspire you?
I like a lot of Alphonse Mucha, and many of by psychedelic posters arts, like a few more, normal or something like that. Clint, I like a lot. Shael.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
What other projects are you two both working on here in Brooklyn?
Well,
you're going to be at the house party here.
Yeah,
There's so
here on
much
Saturday.
going on. I'm actually helping to host a concert tonight at Le Poisson Rouge, which is not connected to this, but which is working with some of my friends at an organization called Heartbeat Jerusalem. So we have kids, teenagers and early 20s, musicians from Palestine and Israel, and they formed a band. They're touring around and talking about issues in the region. And we have a bunch of wonderful New York-based musicians that are also playing. So that's not related, but that's something I'm working on. We have an event here. BRIC has an event here on Saturday.
This Saturday night, what are you guys going to be doing at the event Saturday?
In the afternoon, we have a sort of open street studio and painting studio from 2 to 4. So if anyone wants to come by, and we'll have some microphones set up, we'll be making some sound collages and beats and songs, and Ananda will have some paints, and we'll be working doing some sort of community mural sort of work. So we invite everyone to come and check it out. And then we have an event on Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, here where it's kind of an art opening and performance. So we're going to be sharing the work that we've done, which will probably be works in progress. But
how long is this mural going to be up? That's in our lobby, or the one that you're creating?
Until they paint it over. I don't know. It should be around for a couple months at least, I think. I don't know offhand.
1 week I'm painting, like 1 week ago.
Okay, cool. So I asked Ananda her inspiration. What are your inspirations for the artwork that you do?
One of my inspirations is actually a guy named Paulo Freire, who we talked about. We talked about a lot over email, but haven't really in person. And he's not an artist as so much as an educator, and he did a lot of work in Brazil in the 60s and was kicked out of Brazil, actually, by the dictatorship. But worked his whole life to basically encourage literacy and a kind of radical form of teaching literacy in Brazil, which became very popular worldwide. And I think a lot about that when I teach music, and also just in the music that I make, because I think it's really about not so much teaching people something that they don't know, or bringing in some foreign kind of music, like for them to learn classical music or learn jazz or learn some music that they didn't necessarily grow up with. That's cool too, but what I'm interested in is like getting people to develop the kind of musical concepts that are already in their heads, are already in their cultures, in their minds, and just finding ways to kind of flesh that out, elicit it, record it, and give it voice.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to see you guys in action on Saturday. So I think we have a still now of what's the event here on Saturday.
Yeah, we want to plug it again.
Make
it's
sure
this Saturday.
everybody comes.
Definitely, and we want to encourage people also to check out the mural that's in the lobby anytime here at BRIC House. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you very much.
Saturday, March 8th. So 2 to 8, right? Is that? Oh, we moved it.
The event is this Saturday.
It's not finished, it's in process.
That's right, in progress. It looks pretty
still.
amazing so far,
it's incredible. It really, really looks great. We're looking forward to this Saturday, March 8th. See you guys at the event. We really want to thank you very much for being on here, sharing your art and experiences with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to have
you
you
very
event
much.
again soon, and we'll see you Saturday too.
Okay.